Today I'm continuing my new series for the newer cruiser. These videos are meant to be quick and informative, helpful to the person new to cruising who might need a little extra information and explanation about some of the basic aspects of cruising. In today's video, I want to talk about expenses. It can be quite overwhelming when you're planning your very first cruise, looking at all of the different things and wondering, what is my final price going to be? There are so many things to think about. Do you want to upgrade your room? Do you want to buy a beverage package? What about port excursions? What about gratuities? First of all, let me just take a minute to say that if you do feel genuinely overwhelmed planning your cruise, I do recommend that you find a great travel agent and work with them. They can help demystify the process and answer all of your questions. One of the reasons I'm making this video is because often cruisers are surprised how much money they spend after they get on board. It's one thing to pay off your cruise before you step onto the ship. It's another thing to come home with a huge credit card bill. So, let's get started looking at your expenses and helping you figure out what you're going to be paying for. I'm going to break the expenses of your cruise down into 3 categories. Number 1, unavoidable cost. These are things that you're going to have to pay no matter what. Number 2, strongly recommended things I think you should spend your money on. Now again, this is my personal advice. You can take it or leave it. Number 3, completely optional extras. This will be a long list. It will take up most of the video, but we're going to cover some things you need to think about. One last thing before we begin. If I overlook something, which I probably will, feel free to leave a comment here if you would like to help out the newer cruiser watching this video and I have forgotten to mention something really important. Please feel free to leave a comment. Let's begin with that number 1 category, the unavoidable have-to-pay expenses. On the most basic level, this is going to be your cruise fare, your port fees, and whatever expenses are involved in getting yourself to the ship. This could be an airplane ticket, it could be a night in a hotel, it could be a tank full of gas. But these are the 3 things that are non-negotiable. You're going to be able to figure these expenses out well ahead of time and pay them well ahead of time. So let's just start right there. First of all, if you have not yet booked your cruise and you're shopping and you want to know what your final cost will be, you're going to go online and do a mock booking. You're going to choose the exact cruise you want, choose the exact room you want, and see what your total price will be. Obviously, you would not put down a payment or give credit card information or anything like that. You're just going to go through the steps as if you're going to book this room, and it will eventually take you to this screen here, showing you what your final cost will be. Here you can see the port fees have been added in. So this is truly your final absolute have to pay fare. And this particular cruise comes out to $1,782.65. There's your cruise fare, there's your port fees. You would factor in how much it's going to cost you to get to your cruise ship, and you would put that all together and put that under list number 1, unavoidable costs. And that brings us to number 2, the strongly advised category. And here they are, and some of you may right away be shaking your heads. That's fine. We're all adults here. We can make our own decisions. My advice, pay for these things. They are important. First of all, gratuities. Yes, they are optional, but in my humble opinion, you should never skimp on gratuities. This is a long discussion. There's a lot to it. There's a lot of people who feel the fee structure in cruise fare is broken and we shouldn't be paying gratuities. I feel like it's the least we can do. You have amazing staff members taking care of you, making sure your vacation goes great. Without going into a long lecture that we could sit here all day and debate, I'm just going to keep it simple. I heavily recommend you pay your gratuities and pay them ahead of time. Personally, I also take cash and tip extra once I'm on board to the people I feel made my vacation extra special. So if you plan to pay gratuities, you're going to want to go back to that screen we talked about just a minute ago, find out what the prepaid gratuities are, and just go ahead and prepay them. Moving on from the gratuity conversation. Number 2, travel insurance. Again, we can all make our own decisions about whether or not to buy travel insurance, but I'm giving you my personal advice. My advice, buy that travel insurance. I can't tell you how many times I've had to go to medical on my last 5 or 6 cruises. and I'm a healthy person. I've been hurt. I have picked up norovirus. Things happen. I have seen people trip, fall down, break bones. People fall down and hit their head. People get illnesses on the cruise. Crazy things happen you can't necessarily plan for. When you go to medical, it's going to be close to $200 just to get in the door. Don't lay in your cabin and suffer because you don't want to spend that money. Buy the travel insurance, hope you don't need it, but if you do need it, get yourself fixed up, and when you get home, file a claim and get that money back. If you are traveling anywhere internationally, believe me, you want travel insurance that includes medical evacuation. I have seen people evacuated by helicopter from a cruise ship 4 times in the last 5 cruises. You can't assume your normal healthcare insurance will cover evacuation. You can't assume your credit card insurance will cover medical evacuation. Travel insurance goes beyond lost luggage or a canceled cruise. Tremendous bills, life-changing bills, can come your way if you're not prepared. I'm offering you my humble advice. Buy the travel insurance. Hope you don't need it. Consider it a very wise investment. That brings us to number 3, the fun one, the optional expenses. And oh my goodness, where to begin? So many things you can spend your money on. Before the cruise, during the cruise. Let's take a look at just a few things you might want to purchase and add to your final budget. First of all, there's always the beverage package. This is usually a topic of much debate, whether or not you need it, you're going to use it, you're going to get your money's worth. If you're someone who likes several cocktails a day while you're on vacation, do your research. Look into the cost of the beverage package by day. Look into the cost of what each drink costs. Figure out whether or not this is going to benefit you. A few other things you're going to think about. Do you want a room upgrade? Maybe you've booked the room you can afford, but you get an invitation from the cruise line just before your cruise, offering you a chance to bid on an upgrade. That's a very personal choice, but you may want to factor that into your budget as you prepare. Do you want to have Wi-Fi on board, or do you want to pay for maybe an international calling plan? If you are someone who is going to use either of those things, look up how much it's going to cost per day and factor that into your final cost. There are many other things that you can choose from and many other opportunities to spend money once on board. Do you think you'll go to the spa and have a massage? If so, you might find a good deal booking those things ahead of your cruise. Sometimes there are sales on services like that before your cruise, and you can pre-book and prepay. Do you think you'll go to the casino and spend a little money there? If you're on a budget, you may want to go ahead and factor in how much you want to spend there. Specialty dining is always an option on a ship, and a lot of people really enjoy trying out some of these restaurants. If this is something you want to do and you're trying to put your budget together, you want to know what your credit card bill will be after your cruise, you can look up ahead of time how much these restaurants will cost, you can estimate what your bill will be, and you can just plan on that. There may be other extras on board you want to spend your money on. Some cruise ships charge for experiences like go-karts or obstacle courses. And let's not forget port excursions. If you're planning to get off ship and wander, that's one thing. If you're planning to get off ship and do an organized tour, whether it's through the ship or third party, you're going to want to go ahead and factor that into your budget. Port excursions can run anywhere from under $50 to over $1,000. It really just depends on where you are, how many people are in your party, and what you want to do. Okay, we could keep going like this, but you get the picture. There are many, many ways to spend your money after you get on board the cruise ship, if you're on a budget. And if you're watching this video, I assume that you're on a budget like I am, and you're trying to figure out how much is my cruise going to cost me when it's all said and done. These are the things you want to think about. Go back to list number 1, put down your unavoidable costs. Go back to list number 2, give that some thought. Go back to list number 3. Pick out the things that matter to you. Pick out the things that you can afford, that you would like to add to your vacation, that are going to make your cruise great. If you really need that beverage package to have a great time, factor that in. If you can skip a port excursion and really not miss it, that's fine too. If you want that massage, that bottle of champagne, that t-shirt from the gift shop, all of these are things to think about and plan for. Go into your cruise knowing how much it's going to cost you in the end. Now, there may be some unexpected expenses that pop up here and there on the spur of the moment, but if you can know overall what this vacation is going to cost you in the long run, you'll be better prepared to enjoy yourself and plan ahead. That wraps up today's video for newer cruisers. I hope you found this helpful. I will be posting more of these videos for the newer cruiser in the future, so stay tuned. Please consider subscribing and please hit the like button. Thank you so much for stopping by my channel. Have a wonderful day and enjoy your next cruise. Bye-bye.